Hey Adventurers, today we are doing a video that is basically a fantasy bucket list where these are some of the series that we want to read before we die, essentially.
Fantasy.
Specifically fantasy series. I saw this video on Mitch Simoes. I'll have his channel link down below. He's a really great booktuber, pretty new, and he's got some great content. So go check him out and subscribe to him if you haven't already. Anyways, we saw this video on his channel and I really liked the idea, and so we figured we might as well do it as well. So he did 10 in his video. We're only doing 5 each in ours, so it's still 10, but not even 10 because some of them are the same. But you'll get to that in a second.
So the first book that is on my fantasy series bucket list, the first series, not just the first book, is Lord of the Rings, because I haven't read Lord of the Rings yet, and I'm kind of, I don't know if I am allowed to be a booktuber and not have read Lord of the Rings. I've technically read The Fellowship of the Ring and I started The Two Towers. But yeah, that's the first series on my bucket list. Hopefully I'll get to this soon. I don't know. We'll see what happens.
So the first series that I've got on this list is The Wheel of Time by Robert Jordan. I've heard about this series. I've talked about my reason for wanting to read this book multiple times on the channel, but basically I've heard of this series for a long time. I knew that Brandon Sanderson wrote the last 3 books in the series, I believe, and I just really, everything that I've heard about this series has made me really want to read it. I have the first 3 books in the series, I just haven't gotten to them yet. Hopefully this year I will at least start the series, if not read the entire thing.
So the next book on my series, the next series is the Stormlight Archives. Thought I picked up 2 books. Stormlight Archives. I'm very intimidated by them. I don't like long books. I get bored. Very bored. So I'm hesitant to start it, but I do want to read it at some point because I hear great things about it. And Brandon Sanderson's writing is not usually disappointing. His stories aren't usually disappointing.
The next one I have on my list is The Kingkiller Chronicle by Patrick Rothfuss. I have heard a whole lot about these books basically since I started watching BookTube. I guess it was about 2 years ago now, 3 years ago. And I've just, the more I hear about it, the more I'm like, I really, really want to read this series. I haven't gotten to it yet and I don't own it, but I would absolutely love to read this series.
So the next series on my list is the Wingfeather Saga. This is one that's also I've heard a lot about throughout growing up, and I don't know why I never really grabbed it, or if I didn't know enough about it to search it out. I don't know. I'm not really sure, but the art style, I've also seen a lot of pictures with the art style about the characters and things like that. So it's appealed to me for a while, and I just haven't had an opportunity. I now own a copy of the book, so I have no excuses, and hopefully I'll get to this pretty soon.
So the next series I've got is Farseer by Robin Hobb. I have the first book in the series. I've heard a lot about this again recently, less so earlier in my BookTube watching, but it started to come up again fairly recently and I've really wanted to read it. I've heard great things about it, as I have about all these series, which is why they're on this list, but I've heard that Robin Hobb's a great writer, and I've heard that the story she tells and the stakes that the characters have to deal with are very high, and I thought that it sounded just really well done and really interesting to me.
So the next book series on my list is the Lies of Lacklamora series. I've heard a lot about this from Murphy Napier on her channel. She really loves the book and the series, and I believe, I'm kind of weird about synopsis, but I do believe I've read this synopsis and it sounded really appealing to me.
It is a heist story. Those are generally fairly easy to get into.
Yeah.
So. The next series I've got is the Lightbringer series. I have actually read book 1. I think there's 7 books in this series. I may be wrong. No, I think there's 4 books in this series. I don't know. But I've read the first book and I really enjoyed the first book. I thought it was one of the best fantasy books that I'd read. And it was, of 2021. I haven't read a whole lot in 2021 yet. But I actually really enjoyed the first book and I'm really looking forward to continuing the series.
So the last book series on my list is The Inheritance Cycle by Christopher Paolini. This is Aragon, and the series that follows this, the books that follow this. Another one I've heard so much about. When people think of dragons, they think of The Inheritance Cycle, and I do like dragons a lot, so I'm excited to read this. Eventually I have copies of book 1 and 2, so yeah, I just need to get down to it and read them.
Inheritance Cycle is also the last series that I put on this list for myself. Like Kate said, I've heard a whole lot about this series and I've heard that it's really good. but I've also heard that there's some things that feel like it was written by a 17-year-old, or however old he was when he wrote these. But I'm still looking forward to it. If you have dragons in the books, especially in a significant role, I'm more likely to really enjoy the book. So that's the last one on my series as well. So that's it for this video. We hope you enjoyed watching this. Please like and comment down below if you haven't already, and we will see you guys in the next video. We post videos every Monday and Thursday. Thanks for watching. Stay warm.